Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're diving into the mystical world of Sant Mat, and we're going to be exploring this fascinating text, Der Anurag Sagar. It's this incredible blend of a creation story, but it also acts as a kind of spiritual roadmap, wouldn't you say?
That's a great way to put it. It's attributed to Kabir, the 15th century Indian mystic and poet. And yeah, this text, it's full of twists and turns. It's not a simple read.
Not at all. It uses allegory and symbolism, right, to get at these deeper truths about the journey of the soul, back to where it all began.
Exactly. That journey back to the origin is really central here.
And right off the bat, we're hit with this idea of 12 paths. Yeah, Pfädes. And they're supposed to guide souls back to Sakhand. Now, I know we've touched on Sakhand before, but for those tuning in for the first time, what exactly are we talking about when we say Sakhand?
Imagine a state of pure consciousness, no limitations. That's Sakhand. It's the ultimate goal in Sant Mat, this realm of pure bliss where the soul reunites with its divine source.
And in the text, Cal, who I guess you could say is kind of a central figure in all of this.
Definitely.
He makes this promise, right? He promises protection and guidance to those who follow these 12 paths. It's interesting because that number 12, it pops up in a lot of spiritual traditions.
Absolutely, it does. Think about the 12 signs of the zodiac, for example, or the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right. So it often symbolizes like a complete cycle or a journey towards, well, you could even say spiritual completion.
Exactly. A journey toward wholeness.
But this is where things get even more, well, I guess you could say complex with the introduction of the Kali Yuga.
Ah, yes, the Kali Yuga.
It's this dark age, a time of spiritual decline. It's almost like this text is like holding up a mirror to everything going on in the world today.
Think about it.
Right.
We're dealing with conflicts, environmental concerns. There's this constant sense of urgency, of uncertainty. These could be seen as manifestations of the Kali Yuga.
So how does that fit into this whole idea of spiritual growth, of finding your way back to Sakhand?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? Because the text predicts that within the Kali Yuga, Kal will actually incarnate as Narayan.
Okay, so now that is intriguing. What's the significance of that? Is this a sign of hope, you think? Like some kind of divine intervention in the middle of all this darkness?
The concept of the yugas is cyclical. Each yuga has its own specific spiritual and material qualities. The Kali Yuga, it's definitely a period of immense challenge, but it's also a time that's really ripe for spiritual awakening.
So we have this decline and then hopefully renewal, right?
Exactly.
So where does Kal incarnating as Narayan fit into all this?
It suggests balance.
Oh.
A force to counteract all the negativity, to help guide souls back to that true path. Imagine a beacon of light cutting through the darkness. But even with that, it's not an easy journey. The Dharam makes that very clear. In fact, the text describes Kal instructing Gyani, a key disciple, to establish a temple at the edge of the ocean.
The Jagatnaths.
Exactly, the Jagatnaths. And the fact that it's by the ocean, that's important.
Why is that? What does the ocean represent here?
Well, the ocean, it's full of symbolic meaning, isn't it? It represents vastness, this boundless, ever-changing nature of the material world.
Right, but it can also be pretty rough.
Exactly. Turbulent. Think about the challenges we encounter on the spiritual path.
It's like a metaphor, then, for the entire journey.
You could say that. And things are about to get even more challenging for Gyani, because Kal experiences a betrayal. And it's not just from anyone. It's from someone he was incredibly close to.
That's rough. And unfortunately, not that uncommon, even when we try to do good in the world, when we strive for something better.
Very true. And this betrayal, it has consequences.
Yeah.
Big ones.
Yeah, betrayal. It's a tough one. It makes you really think about, like you said, even when we try to do good, how often desires and ego can lead us down the wrong path.
It's a tale as old as time, really. But the way Der Anurag Sagar tackles this theme, that's what's fascinating. Gyani's response to all this darkness, it's pretty remarkable. His faith doesn't waver. Instead, he offers this really powerful hymn.
Right, directed to Sat Purush. Could you maybe unpack that a little for us? I mean, what does that even mean, Sat Purush? For those who might not be, familiar with that term.
Of course. In many Indian religions, Sant Mat included Sat Purush, refers to the ultimate reality, the truth that never changes. You could say it's often associated with the divine, that source of all creation. Gyani's unwavering faith after this betrayal, it really speaks volumes, would you say?
Totally. It's like he's saying, look, I see what happened, but I'm not going to let it derail me, I admire that kind of commitment.
Absolutely. It's about staying true to that inner compass, to your purpose, no matter how chaotic things get around you. And this whole idea, this unwavering faith, that's a cornerstone of Saint Mott, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so it's more than just personal effort then. It's about aligning yourself with this higher truth, this Sat Purush.
Exactly. It's about surrender, trusting in something larger than yourself, something beyond, well, beyond our limited understanding. And, that brings us to another really key concept in Saint Mott, the grace of a true master.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping we'd circle back to this whole idea. We talked about initiation before. Is this where we dive deeper into that?
Absolutely. The Dharam Rai Sagar actually includes this amazing story about Baba Jamal Singh, a revered Saint Mat master and a disciple who's desperate for initiation.
And just as a reminder, why is initiation such a big deal in Saint Mott?
Okay, so imagine there's this universal radio frequency, a current of divine energy. It's always been there, always accessible, but you've never known how to tune in. Initiation in Saint Mott is kind of like being given the right frequency. It's the key to unlocking this deeper connection, this connection to the divine sound current.
Wow, okay. I like that analogy. It makes it seem a little less, abstract, So what happens with Baba Jamal Singh and this disciple of his?
Well, the disciple, he's incredibly determined, travels huge distances to find his master, begs for initiation. But Baba Jamal Singh, he hesitates. He's not sure if the disciple is ready.
Oh, so it's a real test then of the disciple's commitment.
It really is. And this is where that concept of a master's grace really comes into play. See, despite his reservations, Baba Jamal Singh recognizes how much his disciple truly longs for this. He sees his potential, even if the disciple himself can't quite see it yet.
That's amazing. It reminds me of how sometimes we need someone else to believe in us, to remind us of our own potential when we can't seem to see it ourselves.
Exactly. And that act of grace of Baba Jamal Singh seeing that potential and granting initiation, well, it reminds us that we're not alone in this journey. There are forces out there, some we can see, some we can't, and they can guide us, support us, if we just open ourselves up to them.
It's like having, a seasoned captain on a ship, someone who's navigated those waters before, who can help us through the rough patches. This whole text, Der Anurag Sagar, it really brings together a lot of profound ideas,
It really does.
We've got these 12 paths, the darkness of the Kali Yuga, betrayal, this unwavering faith, the master's grace. It's like each piece builds on the last one, creates this really intricate picture of spiritual understanding.
And like any good tapestry, it's those individual threads, those details that really make it come alive.
Totally. I keep thinking about that image of the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a powerful symbol, It makes you think about just how vast creation is, that constant ebb and flow of, life's challenges, really. The mystery of it all.
It's the perfect metaphor. It reminds us that, this spiritual journey, it's not always smooth sailing. There are going to be storms, moments of doubt, of uncertainty.
And that's where those 12 paths come in, right? They give you that framework, that sense of direction.
Exactly. They're our compass, our map, if you will. They can guide us across this vast, ocean of existence towards our ultimate destination.
And what about that idea of unwavering faith? I'm thinking about Gyani's hymn to Sat Purush after everything that happened with Kal.
Right, because that's what gives you true strength, isn't it? Aligning yourself with something higher, that unchanging truth that's, it's within us all.
It's about holding on to that inner compass, no matter how crazy things get out there.
Exactly. And, let's not forget the role of the master, like Baba Jamal Singh and his compassion for his disciple. It shows just how important it is to seek guidance, to remember that we don't have to do this all alone.
It's like having you've used the analogy before, but like that seasoned captain.
Right. Someone who's been through it before, someone who can help us navigate through those rough waters.
Exactly.
Well, as we come to the end of our deep dive today into the Der Anurag Sagar, I'm curious, what's sticking with you? What will you take away from all of this?
I think for me, it's that reminder that even with all the challenges, with the darkness of the Kali Yuga, there's always hope. There's always a path. And we have the power within ourselves to navigate this ocean of life, to find our way back to that source of truth, of bliss.
Beautifully said. And maybe that's a good place to leave our listeners today, with a sense of hope, with a desire to understand more deeply, and with that knowledge that they truly do have everything they need to navigate the journey.
Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.